Collections. Collections in Java. Collections, what is collection? Collection is basically a group of elements which are related into one object. So grouping the element into one object is called collection. Suppose you have a lot of strings and you want to club them into one object, so you need to use the collection. Suppose you have a lot of employees, I want to list them, those employees, so I can store those employees objects into a collection. So collection is again a object which groups the related elements. Okay, so you might have seen arrays, like I have created a array of integer, array of character. So those are the also collection of the similar data type. That is a collection of primitive data types. So it can be array of integer, it can be array of character. So the array stores the element of the same type. You cannot, if you are creating the array of character, you cannot store integer into that. Collection, that is the APIs which is provided by Sun Java, which is object basically. So that object is used to group the related elements into that object. So that is collection. So whenever we are grouping the objects into a collection, there are two features which are very much important to understand, that is equals and hash code. Okay, and when we are storing the collection, suppose I want to do the sorting on top of that, then we need to understand the concept of comparable and comparator. Okay, so we have one utility, one class in Java, that is collections. That is kind of a utility provided by Sun Java, which has a lot of static methods to create the new array list, to create the new hash map, to create the empty hash map, to create the empty list, and a lot of APIs available in that class. So we will discuss all about these elements, these topics in this section. Okay, so equals and hash code, why it is required in collection? Equals is required when you are trying to group the collection, when you are trying to group the elements into a collection. Suppose you are storing first element in the collection, okay, you are storing the second element. So there are a lot of collections which doesn't allow you to store the duplicate. So duplicate means those are either equal or not equal. If it is not equal, then it is duplicate. Okay, so to decide it is duplicate or not, we have to ensure that they are equal or not. So to achieve equal relationship, equivalence of two objects, Java provides equal method. That this method is part of your object class, that is very much required. So all the classes, because they inherit from object, so they have the equal method. So all the wrapper classes you have seen, like integer and string and some other classes, those basically override the equal method in their own way. Suppose I am creating a custom class, say employee. Two employees can be equal based on the some parameter that I can decide. I can say that two employees are equal in this company if they have the same salary. Two employees are equal in this company if they have the same employee ID. So something like that we can decide based on the logic what we can write. So what we need to do, we need to override this equals method to write our own equal condition. Hash code is basically useful when you are trying to put the objects into some collection which is based on the hash, like hash map, hash set, hash table. that time hash code is required. So these two methods are from the object class that indicates whether some other object is equal to this one or not. So when I talk about equals basically it will decide, it will indicate whether some other object is equal to this one or not. When I say this one is the current instance of the object, if I pass other object, it will compare with this object and other object, it will check the equality. The equal methods implements an equivalence relation on non-null object reference. So the reference, the object which I am trying to compare to find out the equivalence relationship, they have to be not null. It means that if any one is null, then result will be false. Those are not equal. Equal relationship follows reflexive, symmetric and transitive and consistent rule. It means that what is reflexive? Reflexive is if one object is uh, equivalent to its own. Okay, so if I say object employee, it is equal to its own. Okay, so this is always equal to this, where this is the current instance of the class. When I say symmetric, if two objects are equal, if object 1 and object 2 are equal, then if object 1 is equal to object 2, then object 2 is equal to object 1. Transitive is if object 1 is equal to object 2, object 2 is equal to object 3, then object 1 is equal to object 3. So this is called transitive relationship. Consistent, when I say object 1 is equal to object 2, how many times you will call this method, it will be always consistent, that will always be equivalent. If I say object 1 equal to object 2 and object 2 is equal to object 3, that is, it is true, then it is always be true. Okay, so that is this equal follows this kind of rules. For any non-null reference of value of for any non-null reference value x dot equals null should return false, because here one object is null. It has to be, both objects should be non-null. If any one is null, the result of x equals y, where x or y, if any one is null, then the result of equivalence is false. For any non-null reference value x and y, this method returns true if and only if x and y refers to the same object. Okay, then we can say x double equal to equal y. We have seen in the string, if we are having two literals, because they follow the, if we have two same literals, it means that they are same reference. So if x and y are the same reference, then x equal y will give you true. If they are not same reference, then it will give you false. So in case of string literals, they will be same reference if their values are same. So if I say x is equal to Shiv and y is equal to Shiv as a string, then both literals values are same, so it will create only one reference in string pool. So because it is same reference, then if we say x equal y, the value will be, result will be true. Okay, if I say x is equal to Shiv and y is equal to say max, if I say x equal y, because these are two different values, so it will create two different references in string pool. Because it is literal, the result of x equal y will be false. Okay, should override equals and hash code to maintain the contract of hash code. So whenever you override equals, you override the hash code, because there is a contract between hash code and equals. I will tell you, all the wrapper classes override equal and hash code also. They override these two methods because they have the equality of two objects in their own way. String has equality of two objects in their own way. So if I say string s is equal to new string Shiv, string s2 is equal to new string say Max, these two, if I want to find out s dot equals s1, okay, then it will look for the equals method which is overridden in string class, and based on the logic of that it will give you the value. So all the wrapper classes, they override equals and hash code in the way they want to perform. Okay, so when I'm creating a custom class and try to override equals and hash code, I can write my own logic how of the equals and hash code. Hash code returns the hash code of the object. Okay, so when suppose I have one object, say string s is equal to say Shiv. Okay, if I say s dot hash code, I will get some integer value. It depends how the hash code has been written in the string class, how hash code method has been overridden in the string class. Based on that it will give me the return one integer value. So hash code supports in hash map and hash table hash rate collections. I will tell you all those collections in detail later. The contract of hash code is basically invoking the same object hash code, it will give the same hash code. So if I say string s is equal to Shiv, if I say s dot hash code first time, then it will give say value 1 2 3 4. Second time if I say s dot hash code, it should give me the same hash code. That's the contract of hash code. If you are trying to invoke the same object, the hash code will be same. If two objects are equal by equal method, okay, by equals method, if two objects are equal, it means that their hash code will always be same. If two objects are not equal, then their hash code can be same or cannot be same. This is very clear concept which has to be understood always, because a lot of confusion can be created while interview and while doing the exercise. You remember that two objects are equal, then their hash code will always be same. If they are not equal, their hash code can be same or cannot be same. So practically what happens when we try to use this hash code method, it will return a distinct integer. So one object and another two objects will return different distinct integers. Okay, so we have already gone through toString method. So toString method of the any object, when we override this toString, we can write some custom message wrapping around the property of that class that can return the toString. Very useful in real world business, like making JSON, or even you're writing the custom message. Okay, suppose when you are just trying to print the object, so internally it will call the toString. So if you override that toString method, if you don't override, it will call the objects toString method. If you override, it will call your overridden method. In that you can write some custom message based on the property what exactly you want to show to the user. You can write that message over there. Okay, so let's try to see how we can use the hash code and equals. Okay, so before moving to comparable and comparator, let's try to see the hash code and equals. Let's go to Eclipse. Let's create one class. In the package, say basics, and say test hash code and equals. Okay, let's have one class here. say student. Student has few property, say roll number and name. Okay, generally you create these variables as a private, so that I can encapsulate those variables into its getter and setter. So I will create its getter and setter. Okay, let's try to create in the main program. Let's try to create object student. Student equal to new student. Okay, because this is the object which is already extending the object class, so I can get that st dot hash code of this class, of this object. So if I run this one, I will get this hash code. If I run it again, it will give me another value. Okay, so if I run it again, it will give me another object, because I am creating new object here always. So suppose if I create this object once, because it is not every time when I create it is not the same object, it is creating different object. If I want to see the contract of the hash code, it will print the same hash code for one reference of the object, one reference of the class. So for one object, it will, if I try to print 3 times hash code, it should give me the result same. Okay, so here it is giving the result same. This is contract of hash code. Okay, so let's create another object, say student 1. So st1 and st, there are 2 objects. If I print the equal of that, because I have not overridden the equals method in this student class, so it will call the objects equal method. So if I say st dot equals st1, I should get some value. Okay, so here it is giving some value, it is false, right? Because it may be confused because it is using the object equal method. So if I go to this equal method, it will directly go to the object class equals method, because I have not overridden it. It is taking time to go to that method. We can wait. Okay, so if you see here equals method of the object, it just say that return this equals object. So when I say this here, this is nothing but this is st, because on this I am trying to apply the equals method and giving another object. So the object which is in parameter, that is another object. The object where I am applying the equals method, that is this object. Okay, so if, as I said, equals method will work on not non-null reference. If I give any value as null, it will give the result false. So if I give st1 null, so it should give me null pointer exception because we are trying to access equals method on st. Okay, so it should give me null pointer exception. Okay, so let's remove this null. So here we have understood the contract of equals. So if you are trying to do the equals, it the parameter, the other object should be not null. Okay, so otherwise value will come false. So we have seen how hash code works. So far we have executed the equals and hash code from the object class. Let's try to write our own override. When I say override here, what methods I can override? I can override all the methods which are available from the object, and as well as whatever classes available in this context, that is student and test hash code of equals. I'm interested to override the equals. So I will say that this is a super. By default it will call the super. So I will say return true only if this dot roll number equal to object dot roll number. Okay, because roll number we have not created any property for the object class, that is on a student class, so we need to typecast to a student. So we will say student other student is equal to student obj. So here I am doing the casting from object to student. Then I say other dot roll number. If both are equal, then I can say that my two students are equal. Okay, so if I call here st dot equals st2 because st1, then let's say, so it says that its roll number is equal. How the roll number is equal? Let's debug it. So this dot roll number, because it is integer, so by default value is 0. This is the reason, if you remember, I have asked to use primitive, I have asked to use wrapper classes instead of primitive, because I have not given the roll number. Okay, and trying to execute the equal method of two students, and it is giving me true because I have created roll number as a int primitive type, because their by default value is 0. So that's the reason those are equal, and it is saying it is equal. Okay, both objects are equal. So that is basically not efficient. What we can do here, we can give a integer wrapper class. Okay, so accordingly I need to change its getter and setter. Fine. Now if I say this dot roll number equal to other dot roll number. Okay, so what is happening here, if you debug it, this dot roll number, because it is I have used wrapper class, it will give you null, and two nulls are equal here, null equal null. Okay, so what happened now? So let's create those. Let's provide the roll number st dot set roll number, say 1001. Okay, then I say st, this is integer. So I have given integer, so it is using the auto boxing. So primitive to wrapper class conversion it has already done, that is done by auto boxing. So if I say st1 dot set roll number, I give 1002. Okay, sorry, it is, if I say now st dot equals st1, I should be getting false. So here we have written custom equal class equals method, which will really do the comparison of two students. So two students will always be same if their roll numbers are same, otherwise it will be different. Okay, same time we can override the hash code. Whenever we try to override the hash code, we have to, so hash code returns integer, and hash code is always for this object, that is a current object. Okay, so if two objects are equal, their hash code should be equal. Okay, so if I say their roll number, if I take two students and say equal, that will happen if their roll number is equal. So both objects hash code should return the same roll number, or it should return the same result. Okay, so here what is happening, if I print st dot hash code and print st1 dot hash code, I should be seeing that their hash code is different. Okay, let's give 1001 and 1002. So they are not equal and their hash code are different. If they are equal, their hash code will be same. Okay, so we have to make your hash code and equals in such a way that their contract should not break. Okay, they should follow their contract. Okay, that's all about hash code and equals. Okay.